Let's get to our top story, which we've been following and tracing, and Griselda Lewis doing an absolutely brilliant job yesterday as she was giving us a blow-by-blow as to what was going down at the residence of the son of former President Robert Mugabe from Zimbabwe. And police are still searching for the gun in the shooting incident of a gardener at the premises in Hyde Park of former President Robert Mugabe's house in Johannesburg. Let's cross to our correspondent in Zimbabwe, Erphet Musikiwa. Erphet, how has this news been taken by people in Zimbabwe? Because this is a very big and dramatic story here in South Africa.
Yes, indeed, it is big and dramatic, like you said. Yesterday, on the streets, people were already, talking and saying another diplomatic role for the new administration of President Emmerson Mnangagwa. It came as a shock, but not as a surprise at the same time. You remember that the same Mugabe's son, last year in June, was arrested in Zimbabwe on assault charges. At their farm in Zoe. So this really was not really new to most Zimbabweans, but the extent that he actually then shot someone or allegedly shot someone was what we can call what people were shocked to hear. You also remember that their mother again, sometime in 2017, was arrested on assault charges. So really, this news is not new in as much as it might be shocking. It's not new to the family. They've been surrounded by incidents of violence and, brush against the law.
Have we had reaction, firstly, from, I suppose, let's start with the family of the late President Robert Mugabe and, brothers, sisters, siblings, parents, anyone, Grace Mugabe, any reaction to this whatsoever?
We are still trying to get reaction from the family. You'll recall that when they left office or when they were forced out of power, they went into some, we wouldn't call it hiding, but they've tried to stay away from media attention. So it's very difficult to really pin them down to get reactions. They've appointed a family spokesperson, but he's also been very evasive and not wanting to comment directly. He's saying he will issue a proper statement in due course, but we haven't had any formal reaction from the family. They've tried to stay away from media attention. Regarding the government officials, yesterday we were at a press conference that was held by the ZANU-PF, the ruling party, Mugabe's former party. Again, the spokesperson did not want to preempt or comment early. He said it was too early for them to comment because there had not been any formal communication from South African authorities. So he didn't want to delve into anything that might cause a diplomatic war, or he might, preempt or pre-comment before the South African government had officially communicated to the Zimbabwean government, because they're saying it might lead to a diplomatic role of some extent. So they didn't want to comment. So officially at the moment, no one has really come forward to speak on this, but it's where you get comments is mostly on social media, where people are free to vent out what they think, where they are free to say what they want. But officially, officials have not yet issued any response.
What has the sense been on social media in Zimbabwe? I mean, after an incident like this, what has the reaction been that you've been seeing? I know you spoke to us just in general about on the streets, but I know social media, this is where people really do open up. What has been some of the reaction to this, and how are Zimbabweans viewing this?
Well, I think the biggest statement, which I would say has been doing most of the rounds, is how far the apple has fallen from the tree. Yeah. They are comparing, the life of former President Robert Mugabe and the life his sons are leading, saying that it's a direct contrast of, how he lived his life. He was a statesman. he was not. He had high esteem, but his children have, taken the other path. They've been involved in. They've had brushes with the law. They've been involved in violent altercations. They've been arrested, both of them, more than once, either in Zimbabwe or in South Africa. So really, they're saying they are tainting their father's image. They are tainting their father's name. So that's been the biggest reaction.
Yeah.
And the sympathy is not there with the family. You don't pick any sympathy where people are sympathizing with the Mugabe sons. Really, there's no sympathy. They're actually attacking them, saying, they need to change their ways. Otherwise, they will not enjoy the name of their father.
Yeah, so no sympathy coming from Zimbabwe, and certainly no sympathy coming from South Africans. We can tell you that from what we're seeing as well. Just a quick one, and perhaps maybe a closing question in terms of, tell us a little bit about Bellamine Mugabe. What do we know about him? How long has he been living here in South Africa? Obviously a beautiful home in Hyde Park. This is the area that he was staying in. Previous past legal history or controversies that we should know about. Tell us a little bit about him.
Okay, what I can tell you is that, remember, he is the last born of the late President Robert Mugabe. What we do know about him is that he has business interests in Zimbabwe, and we also understand in South Africa. He's been the naughty child, so to speak. I remember in one of the interviews on the birthday of former President Robert Mugabe, he did highlight that his last born was the naughty one. It might have been a joke, but now we are beginning to see some of these traits that are actually coming out. Like I did indicate to you, last year he was arrested twice here in Zimbabwe, in Mazowe. Where they have a farm. They have a farm in Mazowe. And he was arrested twice last year in June, and he was charged on 5 counts of assault, where apparently him and his bodyguards assaulted guards at a mine that is adjacent to their farm in Mazowe. And these people, the guards, actually sustained serious injuries and had to be treated in hospital. And apparently his bodyguards, we were told to understand that they actually attacked these people, and they had AK-47 rifles, which are, those are not small weapons. So he's brushing with the law. This is not the first time. This is not the second time. I think it's now the third time where he's been involved in incidences where guns or where violence, where assault has been alleged against him. So it's not new. There's nothing new. I think it's his nature or his character. He might be a violent character.
Sure. All right. Let's leave it there, and we'll get in touch with you if there's any developments. Please do let us know coming from the Zimbabwe side. We know here in South Africa there's a search underway still for the weapon. And just a crazy story that was transpiring yesterday at that house in Hyde Park, a shooting. Initially, people were thinking it was a security guard. Then it turned out that it was a gardener. And, there were just police in and out. And then we saw visuals of a car that had not blue lights, I think these were white lights on them, and a siren. And, I think people do sort of speak a lot to his life on social media, where he was really one that had this very lavish and luxurious lifestyle, and people were just not too welcoming of it, knowing the situation in Zimbabwe. But these are just some of the things, and that's where Erphet was speaking to us about. That's that vehicle I was talking to you about, and that was what Griselda Lewis was capturing as she was there, and people were speaking to this one. I know it's one of our trending topics, which is coming up in a short while, and we'll discuss all of that and more. Let me wrap that up and take a break. We'll see you after this. Do stay with us here on Morning Live.